This is another great question. I think this goes pretty deep into the psychology of these type of relationships. As we've discussed in other videos, empaths have a tendency to want to help others, try to fix others. They feel emotions intensely, they get drained quicker, they recharge their batteries in different ways, but they also gain something by doing these things. I've kind of described it as it's just their nature, but they also gain something. Now, those things could be different. They could be gaining attention. They could be gaining, well, somebody's there, for me at least physically. They could be gaining the idea that somebody still cares for them, even though they still might be emotionally or physically drained. And obviously I'm talking about this in terms of relationships with, well, it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It could be a family relationship as well. Sometimes in friendships, but it's a little bit more rare. So empaths gain these things from these type of relationships, and that's one of the reasons why they stay in those relationships, is because, you know, they're helping fix somebody else, and so by helping fix somebody else, they feel a sense of pride, or they feel a sense of accomplishment, and if anything, really, in their minds, they're just going, well, that other person's helped, so that's kind of my role, right? At least that's their mindset. Codependency is not that much different. The biggest difference, I would say, with codependency is it's kind of in the word. You are dependent on that other person. Now, you can psychologically trick yourself into saying, I am dependent on that person because I'm helping them and I'm fixing them. And they may even say, hey, what would I do without you? You help me with all my problems, and you're fixing me in whatever way, and you do this, and this for me, and you make life great for me. So, yeah, it works out for the person who's the taker, for sure. The codependent person, though, they are also dependent on that idea because they also gain something out of the relationship by being dependent on that person. Whether it's words of affirmations, whether it's the occasional physical touch, or whatever the 5 love languages you want to pick are. But with addiction codependency, it's a little different than just emotional codependency. Addiction codependency is more like, well, I'm dependent on them because we have this substance in common. And then they also allow the taker's problems to become their problems, which is, that part is similar to an empath. So to kind of sum it up, I know that sounds really confusing. I told you it's a pretty deep concept. But to me, the biggest difference is with an empath, you have the choice to be able to get out of that relationship. You have the ability to recognize red flags, see what's wrong, and then make a different choice. With codependency, I feel like it's a little deeper because you literally feel dependent on that other person. And when their problems become your problem, it helps them as well. So it's this cyclical issue that just never ends. And that can be the same with empaths, but I feel like empaths have a little bit more sense of control in that. And with people that are codependent, they don't have to be empaths. They just have to feel like they're stuck in this loop of codependency, if that makes any sense. Empaths aren't dependent on the other person. They just feel a lot of emotions, so they feel guilty if they don't do something for them. Whereas if you're codependent, guilt isn't always the motivating emotion. It can be a lot of different things. I won't go down the list. So they're a lot the same, but they're different in some types of situations. So for me as a clinician, I would look at each of these kinds of concepts individually based, situationally based, and then I would decide, all right, which one are we dealing with? I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts on this question is empaths versus codependency. Is it the same? Is it different? How do you look at it? Based on this video, what do you think it means? Thank you. I appreciate you listening.